Hi, Vice Explainer here. Today I'm going to explain a movie named Cargo. At the beginning of the movie, family is shown which includes a man named Andy, his wife and daughter, who are living in the boathouse safely after the attack of the zombies. One day, Andy is sailing houseboat. He notices two playing children at the bank of the stream. Andy waves his hand, seeing them, and is also pleased. But those kids' father dislikes it, and he shows his gun to Andy, taking out. Observing it, Andy goes inside. Andy and his wife are talking with each other at night. Now 3 times of food was left in the boat for them. As a result, his wife suggests to move into a town leaving this boat so they may arrange the meal. That town was 30 to 40 kilometers far from there, but Andy forbids his wife because he did not want to face any danger. Obviously, it was risky to step on the land, so he wants to stay in his boat. Waking up on the next day, Andy notices a broken sailboat. He moves there in search of meal and the essential commodities. He hears some sounds from the boat when he is searching for a meal. Taking a few things, Andy comes back to his boat. Fortunately, Andy has searched for the meal of 3 months. They both were excited on it. His wife says to him, "Have some rest," and he leaves to take more things from that sailboat. A zombie attacks her. Unfortunately, Andy is showing his affection towards his little daughter after awakening. He discovers the bloodstains on the boat deck. The fact that his wife had been attacked by the zombie was evident from it. It implies that after 48 hours his wife will turn into a zombie, but it was hard to believe for Andy, so he is disturbed. He was still thinking that his wife may be recovered, so he comes on the land with his wife and daughter leaving the boat so he may take his wife into the hospital. Walking at the distance, Andy observes a car. A zombie arrives there when Andy is putting fuel in the car. Catching its sight quickly, Andy drives off the car. After a time, his wife gets off the car as the car stops so he may change the nappy of her little daughter, but she falls on the floor, seeing the worst condition of her. Coming into senses, she says to Andy he should go leaving her here. He begins to shouting because she had a fear of her transformation into a zombie. She will affect Andy and her baby girl. Being compassionate, Andy makes his wife seated in the car and also breaks the car door handle so she may avoid to go outside. Passing a distance, a zombie comes in front of their car. Andy is frightened and crashes his car within a tree in confusion. Andy finds that his wife has already transformed into a zombie. When he restores his consciousness, his wife bites him as he is going to leave the car and taking her little daughter. Consequently, Andy is also infected. After an effort, he takes her little daughter outside the car and starts sweeping, but he had to maintain his coverage for his little daughter. He encourages himself and wear his wife's stopwatch after taking it off so he may stopwatch timer of 48 hours and the time of his transformation into zombie is started now. He starts walking with his little daughter. He meets some zombie that made their car crash into a tree while going by, and he is struggling to rescue himself and his daughter from that zombie. Then a girl comes there named Tumi. She says, "Don't harm my father, keep away from him." She injures her hand with a small stone which causes bleeding, and her father goes after her, smelling her blood afterwards. Andy moves to that town which was told by his wife. Andy enters that town school and meets a good nature teacher there, and he bandages Andy's wound. She allows him to stay here at night time. Andy thinks to give the charge of his little daughter to her for safety, but that teacher had a disease of cancer and has no more time to survive. Knowing it, he changes his thoughts. On the other side, Thumi's mother is shown, who is attacking the zombie, accompanying indigenous Australians, so the town may be secured. Killing the zombies, she is also searching for her daughter Thumi. Thumi loved her dad and a lot of didn't want to stay away from his even after he turned into a zombie, so he had put his father safe while digging a pit into the ground. He used to take care of her father so he may not be harmed by her mother or indigenous Australians. So this way, the cause of she was living alone, hiding herself from her mother. Contrarily, Andy is shown, whose condition was worsening. At night he was blood vomiting and losing his senses. When he wakes up into the morning, he checks that he has left only 32 hours. Taking her daughter, and he leaves. Walking at the distance, he observes a car there. A man makes his target, shooting his gun as he goes to that car, but that gunshot actually for a zombie who was coming at the backside of Andy. The man says, "Help me," because that man's foot was pressed under the tank. Giving Andy the car keys, he asks him to remove this tank. Andy removes the tank while pulling, and that man brings Andy into his shelter house where he was residing with his wife. After a time, that man offers him to come with so that he may show his work to Andy. In order to protect oneself from zombie, he demonstrates how he cages people to use the zombie bait. Attacking zombie, he may shoot them. He collects the precious things of zombie after killing them, so he may use their things in the situation is better. In coming days, Andy observes Tumi and an old man in the cage. Andy was not feeling good, but he had also not had a second option where his daughter may be kept safe. Coming into that shelter house, notices that his little daughter is living safely with that man's wife. Being satisfied, he begins shoot himself to keep others secure because he had no more time now. Then that man's wife arrives there and says him, "Don't do as such. Your daughter will never be safe in the hand of the owner of the shelter house. He is wicked." She reveals, "He is not my spouse. Even he had left my husband to be victimized by the zombie. He has bound her from that time." Then that man approaches there while searching her. He hears both of them. He knocks Andy out while hitting the gun on his head. He imprisons him in the same cage of Tumi. Coming into senses, requests Tumi, "Help me, we can together escape from here." Andy throws a rope towards zombie, fixing a piece of meat with it. The cage door is little opened when zombie pulls that rope, and they return to that shelter house, coming out from the cage. Then they escape, taking the little daughter and that lady. That man tries to shoot them after walking up in that shelter, and that lady who was being said his wife is shot down and he dies there afterwards. They both hide at the place, escaping from here. Next morning, Andy and Tumi are conversing with each other. Andy explains to Tumi her father can never be recovered now because she has transformed into zombie. Hearing it, Tumi runs near a tree where she had left her father after fasting, but she comes to know that her mother has bound her father into that tree after killing him. Seeing it, Tumi starts weeping. She begins to strike her head with the stones. Andy has no more time, so she starts to leave from there, and he had to keep his daughter at the secure place before his transformation into a zombie. He had to give the charge of her daughter to a person who could take care of her after his death. Tumi hears the weeping sound of that little daughter after a time. Andy is senseless when she goes to check. Waking up, Andy decides to go to the family shop by the river that day. Tumi consents to direct him at the bank of that stream. Reaching there, Andy comes to know that the husband of that family has also been bitten by a zombie. That man again points the same gun. He says him, "There are 6 bullets which are left in this gun. He will fire 1 bullet on himself while 3 on his family." He asks Andy he can shoot himself and his daughter with left 2 bullets if he wants. Andy is left astonished and forbids him to doing so, but not agreeing, that man shoots himself and his daughter's family. In this way, all are died. Being disturbed, Andy thinks to kill himself while picking the gun up. At the same time, Tumi reaches there. She says to Andy, "I want to return to my house. You can leave your daughter to our indigenous Australians." He assures he will be safe there. Andy agrees because he had to settle her little daughter at the safe place. Smoke is rising from a mountain. Both begin to move there. The smoke was rising because her indigenous Australians were burning the zombies there. They notice the same owner of the shelter house while passing a train tunnel. Taking Andy's little daughter, Tumi goes into the landing car. There the fight begins as that man searches out Andy. As a result, that man picks up the gun when it was dropped down by Andy. After this, he forcefully takes Tumi out the car. Consequently, Tumi gets the head injury, restoring his consciousness. Andy notices that the man has his daughter in his lap. Restoring his consciousness, Andy notices that man has his daughter in his lap. He is about to kill his little daughter but returns Andy's daughter to him on his request. Subsequently, Andy departs accompanied by his young daughter Rosie and Tumi, who was struggling due to the head injury. Andy had knowledge that he has no more time walking a little far and his condition is getting worse, and he was soon going to transform into a zombie. Meanwhile, Andy catches the sight of the piece of meat. Afterward, he says to Tumi, "Take care of my daughter," and he loves her little daughter last time. This scene is very touchy. Andy hits upon a plain seeing piece of meat and fixes it with the edge of a stick. On the other side, Tumi's mother and indigenous Australians come on scene. They observe Tumi with the little daughter when they are leaving after killing the zombie. They both were at the backside of Andy. Tumi had brought Andy's there, direction him with the stick which had 6 pieces of meat. After their arrival, Thumi stops the indigenous Australians when they are going to kill Andy, and she sprays there, taking out the perfume of Andy's wife, and Andy may feel and recall the memories of his family. Afterwards, they kill Andy. Then it is shown little girl abdomen has written statement which has been written by Andy. He has written thank you with white color. Then they hide Andy into the tree as they had done by Thumi's father to prevent the infection. At last, that little girl had go a secure place and family to stay. The movie ends here. Thank you for watching.